Welcome to the Mike White Podcast, where I, Mike White, share my conversations and book reviews through my journey to learn all that goes on in this amazing world. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. All right, welcome to the Mike White Podcast, episode 7. Today on the podcast, we got two guests, both certified personal trainers. So Austin Martin and Carolina Martin just moved back to Texas. And so we're going to go through their journey of how they came to be personal trainers, what they're doing today, and some fitness tips. So we'll start with Carolina. How did you guys end up meeting?
Oh, why don't you take us through the story?
Sure.
It's not a huge story.
We met obviously at the gym at UT. We had known each other for a couple of years, but we were sort of both in other relationships. And then we just kind of ended up being single. I was actually about to move to Germany because I was starting my job in Germany. Like, I had graduated already. He still had his 1 year of master's degree. And then it was actually the summer already. Like, I had already graduated. I was leaving in like a month. And one of our like mutual friends from the gym, we were messaging because we were both going to go out that weekend. I think they had gone out already, so he wasn't like super convinced. And then he ended up going, and I ended up being there. And then I was like, oh, you're single? Yeah. And
then we went out that night, and then she was in town for what, 2 more weeks?
2 more weeks before I went to California.
Okay, so like 3 weeks total before
Yeah.
she literally moved to Germany,
Yeah.
like for good, like
Yeah.
to get a job. And we basically moved in together. I moved into her place for the full 3 weeks. From the first day we hung out,
Literally.
like 3 full weeks, I moved in. And then I planned a trip to go visit her a month and a half after that.
Well, yeah, so
Yeah.
we spent, like the entire 3 weeks together. And then a few days before I was like moving, like my apartment was empty, completely empty. I was like, okay, you have to book your trip to Germany because otherwise,
Yeah.
when am I going to
Exactly.
see you again?
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay. And then he booked the flights and
Yeah, booked the
Yeah.
flights, went to Germany. That was my first time in Europe as well. Visiting
Yeah.
her in Germany. Had a great trip. Yeah.
And then a funny story, because he booked the trip, he called his parents and he told them, like, hey, I'm going to Germany. And his mom was like, oh, wow, like, this girl is serious. Like, he's spending his
Yeah.
own money to go to Germany.
How long did you plan on staying there?
I was there for 8 days.
Yeah, well, because he
Because-
was going to go back to get his master's.
Yeah, I had school starting back up.
Okay, so
Summer
like in the
classes.
summer.
Exactly, yeah. I think I went in between summer sessions.
Yeah.
So I had to come back for summer classes, yeah.
Maybe there was like a tiny moment where he actually considered not getting his master's and moving with me to Germany. But I think I was like, your parents are going to hate me if you do that.
It was your last semester? You only had like one semester left?
Yeah, maybe I had not a full year.
You had a full year left.
Yeah, I had a full year
Yeah.
left. Yeah, exactly. Because,
Okay.
yeah, eventually she came back to the U.S. and I was still in school.
Okay.
I still had some time left, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we met.
So what were you studying at UT?
I did international relations and politics. So like liberal arts.
And then you wanted to get to Germany just to see the world, or did you always?
No, I'm actually half German. So my
Okay.
dad's German and I lived in Germany a couple years when I was growing up. So I have family and everything in Germany, in Munich. And I'm not American, so I couldn't work here.
Oh,
I
really?
needed to get like a permit or a visa or something. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Germany because the other option was Mexico because my mom's from Mexico. And I think Germany has better chances.
And it was
So-
just to study, or did you want to go find work there?
No, I had already gotten a job.
Okay.
Like, I graduated from UT, I had no idea what I was going to do, and then I just started applying in Germany. Or in the UK, actually, because I've always loved the UK.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that's what I was going to do, just start working in Germany, which I did.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You're talking about seeing Austin here in the gym at UT. I remember going there, and you were pretty much religiously. If I was there, I would see you in the morning. And if you guys are listening to the pod, this man is 6'4". How much do you weigh, or do you
I'm
weigh?
235 right now.
235. So you're just a freaking monster in the gym, and it was pretty funny. Like I would see you work out, and every day there'd be like multiple people coming up talking to you, probably asking for advice, or you're just like the gym maestro.
Well, the gym at UT was a nice place because it was a good community, and it was also a great place to procrastinate because you just
Yeah.
you go in, forget about everything else you had to do, and you'll see lots of people. And we had been, like acquaintances for a couple of years before we started dating and stuff like that. So like you start to know everybody because it's a school gym, and so you see
Yeah.
everybody consistently when you're going, and it's a fun place to be. So a lot of us just spent lots of time there.
Yeah.
And even though UT's huge, the main gym, Gregory Gymnasium, is actually really kind of small and quaint, which is bad in rush hour.
That's a nice way to put it for
Yeah.
the UT gym.
Exactly.
It's it can get definitely a really did you ever go there when it was packed? Like
All the time.
Of course. It's
Yeah.
horrible.
Horrible.
No,
you smell the sweat and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
circulating in the air.
no, not a great place to
No.
be. That's yeah.
I mean, he had a car, which is why I was so surprised why he didn't go to like a different gym. I didn't have a car back then because I didn't have a license here.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I gotta go to Gregory Gymnasium. Like, this
Yeah.
is my best chance. Yeah.
It is. What do you guys think of the racks though? I've never seen a gym with more just free weight racks.
20 racks at least in there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I thought it led to problems because there's a lot of new people starting the gym at a college age, and having just free weight racks as really the only option forces you to be a more advanced lifter, and a lot of people weren't in that position yet. And so I think, like if you think about going to the gym as a newcomer, the first thing you do is go to the machines. You look at the little pictures and you go to the machines and you do that stuff, and then you learn movement patterns. But at Greg, 20 racks, and that's all that was available.
But I mean, he says like when you're a newcomer, you go to machines. I started literally lifting weights at Gregory Gymnasium, like a few months into starting at UT, and the first thing I went to was a squat rack. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
What got you? Why did you decide to start lifting? You never did it your whole life.
Well, I always played sports. Like I did swimming sort of competitively in high school, and I did track and fields. But I was very much in that mindset of I just want to be skinny, like I just want to be thin, and it gets
Cardio.
yeah, like loads of cardio. Like I would be running all the time on the treadmill, or I would do the Stairmaster for like 45 minutes, like every single day. And then I just like one day I was like, I'm super worn out. Like this isn't, I don't like this, but I want to continue being active and like do a sport. And then Greg, everybody was lifting weights, so I was like, I'm gonna try this.
Yeah, and if I can see if you're a newcomer and you see Austin over here just throwing on 45s, trying to squat, and then just people putting on way too much weight and throwing out their back. Did you have any learning pains, or did you kind of like watch YouTube videos to figure out how to do things right?
Honestly, no. I think for like a whole year, my lifting was just awful because I never asked anybody. I never watched videos. I was lifting really light. Like it wasn't to the point where I could really injure myself, but it also wasn't like proper movements. Actually, only once we started dating, he took me like through some workouts, through some movements, and he like honestly, you were somebody that really helped build my fitness.
I definitely had, when I first started, some bad times where I'd get into the gym. I was very nervous about being around guys that were my size and much bigger, especially here in Texas. And you get nervous, you throw on extra weight, form goes out the window, and you end up getting hurt. And it's just, you see it all the time. It's unfortunately for a lot of people, it's just kind of inevitable, and it causes you to learn and not do it again.
What about you? Do you have any? Like, I don't know if you're like a consistent gym goer, but do you have any injuries or anything?
Well, I think that's why I like high school, is that it could also be bad if you have bad coaches, but
Yeah.
we had really good
Yeah.
high school coaches that stressed form and didn't worry about what your max was on the board, just as long as you were doing good form. But if you don't have that base, you don't. It's different watching videos and then someone actually watching you do the thing, and because you feel like you're perfect.
Yeah.
I know I do this, but then your coach comes by and corrects you. So I don't know. Is that how you learn?
It's absolutely hit or miss with high school. And I only played baseball in high school. And were you on the football team?
In middle school.
In middle school.
That's
So
where
you
I
just
learned.
had the baseball coach teaching you in high school as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so our baseball coach wasn't well versed in training.
They're so unathletic.
He had no idea, exactly. And I remember the things that these coaches taught me, and it was all the wrong stuff. And it's all of the consistent things that you hear, when you're squatting with a barbell on your back and they tell you to look up. These kinds of things that are very, to professionals, very obviously wrong. But to someone who's only learned from other people, other coaches, friends, and things like that, who haven't gone through training, that's what they teach the kids. And so I had a worse experience, but I do think it gave me a good baseline. And I think other people got a better experience.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, even you've been working out for what, like 10 plus years now, like over a decade.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's done this for a long time. But for me, I even now still feel like a couple years in that I'm still correcting my form, or like I'm still testing out some things where I'm like, I'm not entirely sure if I'm doing this right. But like now you just do it more carefully to not hurt yourself.
And that's what's great with like technology nowadays. You can even if you're by yourself, you can video it and then send it to your friends who know how to do it and say, hey, is this the right thing to do?
Exactly. And I think a big thing with that now, we've noticed here in Dallas, is the number of people that are comfortable filming themselves in the gym is incredible.
Yeah.
Versus, I remember even 4 years ago when I started my Instagram, I was the only person in the gym who was putting my phone up, and I was terrified. I thought they were going to kick me out, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And now every fifth person has a tripod. They're in the gym setting up, and so.
No, but I do think it's important to mention that we go to a very specific gym. Like the people there compete, like so many people compete and do social media. So I think just our gym is pretty special.
How do you choose what gym to go to when you come to a new city? I know you guys move around a lot. What do you look for?
For me, funny enough, and maybe for both of us, part of our pick with a house, with a home, was locations of gyms.
So it's the other way around.
Yeah.
You find the gym first, then you find the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we do that with lots of things. Moving to a new city, you want to see what's where. And a lot of people, that might be, if you have kids, it's going to be schools or grocery stores or maybe what church you go to or something like that. For us, it's our gym that we want to go to. And so we had a couple in the area that we were interested in. We went and looked at both of them and made our pick.
I mean, even in the UK, when we were thinking about where we wanted to move after living in London, we looked at the gyms first, and he was like, no, I don't like that one, or I like this one. And
is it mainly the machine availability, or you see like how crowded it is?
You're the picky one.
I'm very picky, very picky. It's machine quality, so like the brands are very important, and then just how busy it is, and oftentimes the type of people that go there. Oftentimes, that's big for you.
That's the main thing for me, like the vibes.
Yeah.
Like in the UK, we sometimes went to a gym, and it was honestly mostly men, and it was like a very old school gym, and I just felt very uncomfortable. Like I hated that gym.
But vibes are big. Like if you're a new person going to the gym, a lot of people look for distance from the gym or how crowded it is or the price. If the vibe is off and it doesn't fit for you, you're not going to go. Because it's going to be an uncomfortable situation going to that gym. Like you need somewhere that feels good, that you're like excited to be, where people are friendly and you feel like you fit in. Because if you don't have that, it's going to make it that much harder to start going.
And there's already barriers. Like most people don't. You got to kind of motivate yourself to get there. So it's like, if you're not enjoying it,
Imagine you're a new person and you're going to a gym that's bodybuilding focused. And there's huge dudes lifting tons of weight, and you're just uncomfortable versus like, a lot of people talk bad about like a place like Planet Fitness, but if you vibe with a gym like that and it makes it more enjoyable for you to go, then it's not that serious. Like, what's the matter?
I mean, I even feel like our gym right now, it's great and everybody's really friendly, but everybody's very advanced. And like even the machines are advanced. So I can see somebody that has never been to a gym being like very intimidated, like what's going on.
Yeah. Is there? So you talk about brand. What is your favorite brand? Because I have no idea. All I see is like Lifetime brand.
You'll know from UT, Hammer Strength.
Okay.
It was a big one there, and that's a big one. Another one that UT had was Precor. Yeah. That's a quality brand.
That's a pretty good one.
In the UK, and I will purposefully name them, Matrix Fitness. The machines are made for like humans with rubber joints. Like it's like they made it on a computer, and then you get on it and you're using the machine, and it just isn't made for a human. So it's quite obvious when you know how your body's supposed to move and you get on a machine and it's just not that way. It's bad for you. It puts you in poor positioning. It leads to injury. You can't load properly, and it feels awful. So yeah.
And then obviously Techno Gym, because you can find Austin in the video app.
Yeah. You sponsored?
No, I shot with Techno Gym. They developed an app, a couple of years ago?
3 years ago? 2 years
Training
ago?
app. This was in the middle of COVID. They flew me out to Italy. I shot with them for a week. It was intense. But yeah, I'm on the Techno Gym app if you want to find me there.
We have to put that in the show notes. I'll find that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of I like pull-up bars, and I just want a regular pull-up bar just for that option to change my grip. And then there's these machines. They look like they're aliens with all these bars sticking in all different angles. I don't know. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just try to do too much. Like just give me a straight bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like my big thing. I'm 5'3". So all of the machines, I'm like, I can't use this. Like I can't reach this.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll find that especially older machines, or even the ones now, are made for men. Like
Yeah.
they're made for men, and women are supposed to fit into them, and it's I see her trying to fit into some of them, and it doesn't work the same way.
Yeah.
You definitely got to scope out the gym. So you're saying you started lifting pretty regularly at UT, but you're already jacked when you got to UT. I know you played baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any training outside of just for athletics, or was it always just you wanted to be the best baseball player you could be?
100%. It was that. That's the only reason I started training. And after I was working out for a while, I really fell in love with it. And I contribute my lack of success in baseball to my obsession with the gym and wanting to get bigger and build more muscles. I wasn't training like an athlete, and I think that showed. And I, as a professional now, I understand the differences between training like an athlete and training like a bodybuilder. And I was training like a bodybuilder from, YouTube videos and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I think it hurt my mobility and explosiveness in baseball. And so it was quite easy to transition after I finished playing baseball and just into going to the gym and things like that. But yeah, it was mainly the goal was athletics.
How was that first year? Because I know you played, was it San Jacinto or?
No, not St. Jack. I played at Cisco.
Cisco,
yeah. We actually went out there a
Like
few days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
To pick up the new cat.
Yeah, it was my first time back in Cisco. It was great. JUCO ball is very different. We were in a small town. I ended up getting hurt maybe 2 games into the spring season, and so I didn't even really play a full season. But it was fun being there with the team, training, being under the coaches, just getting the whole. I felt like I had a good year of college baseball, and then that was it.
How'd you overcome that kind of injury where I know it sucks when you think of baseball your whole life, and I'm sure you wanted to play pro, I wanted to play pro, and you get to that point where you gotta shift at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
How'd you handle that?
It was definitely an identity crisis. I up until that point, all of us that have played sports and athletics, when that time ends, especially when it's not your decision, you get hurt, you tear something, and that's the last time you play. You have this whole realization of who am I as a person. So it was a very difficult situation. I decided what I wanted to do with my life after that in terms of going to school and things like that. But it took me some time until I was like comfortable with who I was. I was still seeing my old teammates play, and a couple of them get drafted and go on to play D1 ball. And it was a very difficult experience, like wanting that to be you. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to figure out, like, again, who you are as a person after that, after sports. That's, now I look at it, and that was something I did as a kid. And that was, like I did that during college and high school and stuff like that. And I'm more confident in who I am as a person now. But even now, I try and keep myself from identifying as one single thing because I had that situation. I don't want to be, like the gym guy. I want to be multifaceted at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even now you play other sports. Mm-hmm. Like he's joining like volleyball leagues and things like that, and you're just constantly trying to play other sports.
Yeah. You guys got the pickleball fever yet?
No, we haven't.
No.
You might have to.
No.
That's all the rage nowadays. You see Tom Brady bought a team with Kleisters?
Bought a team?
Yeah, he's a pro pickleball owner. Tom Brady.
I didn't even know there were pro pickleball teams.
No, I didn't
either. I thought this was exclusively like a 60-plus sport.
Oh, no, it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there's got to be courts out here.
Oh, I'm sure. I know they're turning.
Huge.
We've seen lots of tennis courts just fully transition to pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Like it's big time. I know. Yeah.
But it's we always see like senior citizens play it. So we have that rep about it. Yeah.
No, it's like ping pong, but on a tennis court. So you don't have to have any like form at all. You're just smacking that wiffle ball. So it's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I
like
that.
We'll do
it.
Yeah.
We'll do it exactly.
So when you're playing in Cisco and then you decide to go to UT, mm-hmm. What made you join the club baseball team?
Oh, well, I had, it had been a couple of years since I had played really. And after Cisco, I think maybe in a summer after I finished at Cisco, I'd gotten hurt. I decided not to have surgery because it was a long repair process and it wasn't fully torn. I had torn my elbow, by the way. And I had actually gotten a job as the bullpen catcher for the San Antonio Missions, minor league baseball team, I think AA affiliation. And during that, I was there for 2 weeks. And after 1 week, I got the yips. which for anybody that doesn't know, the yips in baseball or golf or something like that is when your muscles just, they don't work anymore, and you go to throw the ball and it goes into the dirt or 100 feet over the guy's head. Your body just doesn't seem to function anymore. So I completely left baseball for about a year and a half after that. And then one of the guys on the team, Billy, which you'll remember, was a friend of mine and recommended that I come out to a practice. Came out and yips were gone, so which I was very happy about. I told everybody before I showed up, I said, hey, last time I threw, I had the yips. You know, if I throw the ball into the dirt, I'm gonna go sit on the bench and wait for practice to be over, and we'll drive back to the school. Didn't happen, and so yeah, man, everybody was nice on the team. I was excited about it for sure.
I think there's definitely a component of when you get injured, and it's hard to fully trust your arm, even if it's just thrown back to the pitcher. You were only less than 2 years away from the elbow thing. How did you even? Was it 100% yet, or how did it feel?
I never threw 100% again.
Yeah.
I just, and like you said, it's a trust thing. I probably could have, but the last thing I wanted to do was to throw it out again. So yeah, when I was the bullpen catcher, I was probably throwing 60% back to the pitcher because there's no reason to. And then once I started playing for the club team, it was probably 80%, maybe 90% when someone would steal second. But yeah, it's just, I never gave it full force.
Was there a way that you were PTing it, or did you know what you needed to do, or I don't know if you had any guidance there?
Yeah, when I tore it initially, I had gone to a doctor in Dallas and had gotten called platelet-rich plasma therapy. You heard of this?
No.
So they take your blood out of you, they do something to spin it up, and they get just the plasma separated from the blood, and then they inject it back into the spot where it's been torn.
That's cool.
And so it's meant to regenerate, help it regenerate faster. So we did that, but then I decided after that to not even try throwing. I was like, let me just leave it be. And obviously got some PT work, some resistance band work and stuff like that. So I probably did that for a few months every day. And then after that, I started lifting again and didn't have any more pain, but I didn't throw after that.
Does it affect your training at all anymore?
Nothing.
That's awesome.
Nothing.
It doesn't affect your training, just like he loves throwing things still. So sometimes you throw a ball really hard and you're like, that kind of hurt my elbow. So there's still a little bit of it left.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely glad you joined the club baseball team. That was a lot of fun that year. I don't know if Carolina knows, we would your nickname, a lot of us would call you the dad of the club baseball team, even though he was younger, because he looked like a man among little boys out there going up to bat.
I can see that.
I also remember I had lost one of my shirts, and the only shirt left for the team was just a small.
Oh yeah.
And so it was just at a certain point, it felt like I was just on the team for intimidation, nothing else, just to show up and to be scary.
Yeah.
It was fun times though. Did you ever get to see him play baseball, or?
No, I finished that before we started hanging out.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I've seen pictures and stories and everything, but I've never actually seen him play baseball.
Never. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
No.
I've seen him play pretty much everything else. Volleyball, basketball, but never seen him play baseball.
So we got how you guys started lifting. You guys meet at UT just before you go off to Germany. What were you thinking? Did you think that it was gonna work out? You think he was crazy for flying out to you, or what was going through your mind?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely somewhat of a stressful time because, like I said, I didn't have a visa to work here. So when you go to college, to a university in the US as an international student, you can, after you've graduated, apply to a 1-year work visa, to where you can get the visa and you can work anywhere and they can pay you legally. And so I hadn't applied for that because I was like, I'm gonna, are we good? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move to Germany and I'm gonna work in Germany and I'm probably not gonna come back here until who knows when. And so then we started hanging out, and then he told me, make sure you apply for that. So then I applied for that a few days before I left to Germany, because you have to do it in person in the States. And so then I was kind of in Germany waiting for that, and that took ages before I could get it. So I definitely was unsure as to what was going to happen. Yeah.
I mean, our whole journey together and in the last 5 years has been very sporadic, leaps of faith, things like that. And so that was one of the first ones, but at this point, it was nothing out of the ordinary now.
It's been lots of visas and waiting and stuff. Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, so you graduate, you get a master's in accounting, right? From McCombs, great freaking awesome. Probably number one school, right?
That's the one you could get it from. Yeah.
So you got the best master's accounting degree you can get, and you're like, all right, that's cool. I'm gonna go be a personal trainer.
Yeah, exactly. So I finished, and she had just moved back to the U.S. and had her work visa, and she started working at Gold's as a personal trainer, and that was her first time personal training as well. And I had graduated. No, I was in my last semester. I was in my last semester, but I only had one class or something like that. The whole point was to study for the CPA. It was supposed to be 8 hours of studying a day. I had told her this. I said, honey, I'm going to be busy. I'm studying. I'm going to be very busy. And I didn't do it. Couldn't get myself to do it. It was the worst thing that I could ever think about spending my time doing. I didn't want to do it. I didn't. And so for like 2 months, I didn't study. Maybe open the book once. And her managers at Gold's had kept saying, because I was certified as a personal trainer at this point.
Yeah. And
her managers were great and kept saying like, oh, you should work and come personal train here. And I kept saying, oh, I'm too busy. I'm studying.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And eventually I started training there and just realized like, this is so much better than working in an office and being an accountant and studying for the CPA exam. Like that was one of the realizations I had is like, okay, there's something more important than money. And that was a big realization for me. It was good.
Would you try to like go to the library, open up your books, and then just start dazing off, just daydreaming? Or?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want to interrupt you because when this started happening, I started working at Gold, so I would be gone for like, most of the day. Like I was personal training. And I would come home from working, and for a couple of months, I'd be like, hey, honey, what'd you do today? And he'd be on the couch and be like, you're looking at it. So then he convinced me. He said, okay, we're gonna get a desk for me, because we only had like our island in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't work there. Like I need to focus on the desk. He ordered a desk. He bought all of the books. Literally used that once for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Didn't touch it. So yeah, and it was one of those things where I was trying to study at home, and I don't work great at home. I'm much better at it now. But then especially, it was just too many distractions. Yeah, didn't do it.
Yeah, and because I was going to Gold's and I was saying like, I love this is so fun. I told him, I was like, you need to get your personal training certificate. And then our manager, who is one of the best people we've ever met, he taught us so much about everything, like not just about personal training. He was like, hey, you should really tell him he should come work here because he would do really, really well. And then he started doing really, really well. And so then I think you kind of realized, this is more fun.
I totally agree. I didn't realize how important it was to do something you're passionate about, especially work when you're spending, at least 40 hours in your week. And until I joined the Navy and I started getting paid well, and it's like, oh, this is nice, but it's not worth all this time to have this money. Like money can only go so far. It's nice if you have, food, shelter, clothing, and then after that, I'd rather actually do stuff I want to do rather than just stack cash.
Well, and that's the thing is, when I was working there, I realized I had managed to get a full load of clients. And so I was making a full-time income. And you extrapolate for the whole year. I was doing this for a couple of months, and you look at the whole year and you go, I can live on this. Why am I going to do something that I don't enjoy doing? I can live on this. She was going to do the same thing. Would have been 2 incomes, and
Definitely.
Yeah, you make that realization. And I was lucky enough to do that first, and to do that before I started my full-time job, because once you start making more money, it's so hard to go backwards.
You get used to it.
You get used to it, and you think there's no way I can make less than that. That would be a horrible life, but that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we hadn't moved to the UK, we probably would have stayed at Gold's working as personal trainers for a while. Yeah.
So how was that ramping up? I'd imagine if you work with the gym Gold's, it's a little easier to get your initial client base.
Yeah.
Or did you have any trouble there?
Do you have a different thought?
I think we have very different, not opinions, but we had different experiences.
I think a place like Gold's Gym helps you a lot in getting clients. They have systems in place. New members sign up, and they have systems in place to make sure that you at least get FaceTime with new members, and you can give them your spiel, and you can do them your pitch, and you can take them through a little bit of a session and things like that. And for me, it went quite well. The thing that's different at a gym like that, where they help you get the clients, is that they take a little more than half of what the clients are paying.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I'm doing all the work. I'm selling, I'm training, I'm putting together the programs, and you're taking 60 to 70% for what reason? And but they do help you get those people in the first place.
I mean, for me, right when I started, it was honestly very difficult because the manager I've been talking about, he was super great, but he had also just started as a manager, so he didn't really know like how to help me get clients. And because I was new, and honestly, as a woman, it's difficult to convince men to let them train you. They're like, why are you gonna help me? Like, how are you gonna help me? We have different goals and stuff like that. And so at first it was really difficult because they didn't know how to convince people of like that I can help them. And I think for him it was a lot like everybody already knew him because I was working there, and a lot of people are like, hey, I want to get big like you, like help me, coach me. And so it's definitely easier to convince people.
And when you say Gold's is more of a male-heavy gym, I think of like Arnold when I think of Gold's Gym. I don't know if there's a lot of women that work out there or not.
I'd say it's location-based.
It's location-based.
Yeah.
I think it's location based, and also I think maybe women are less likely to get coaching, but I don't know that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
Based on my experience, the people that I had these talks with were mostly men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my clients actually ended up being men.
And in that gym, it was a male-heavy location.
Yeah.
But if you go, we were up in the kind of like north side of Austin area.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get more into downtown, obviously you have more women, you have people going into work in the morning and things like that. So it's different depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the personal trainer program, like exam, certificate, all that, helped in your actual knowing how to do your job, or how did you learn how to do your job?
We have strong opinions on this.
This is actually really funny because the personal training certificate in the UK is quite rigorous. Like it requires you to, meet in person, you study, you learn all the movement patterns, like you assess people. And the one that we have, all you have to do is online, just read the material and then pass an exam. But you never meet with anybody, like they never teach you actually how to be a personal trainer.
If you don't have an extensive base knowledge of training and movement and function of the body, the exam and the studying does nothing for you. They don't talk about cues, they don't talk about actual movements, anything specific. They speak extensively about injuries and about the musculature and how those muscles work together. But in terms of movements and nothing. If you don't know anything and you show up and you take the exam and you study and everything, and you go into a gym and it's clear that you do not know what you're doing. It doesn't do anything for you really.
But also the main thing is, you say like, does it help you to know how to do your job? And I was expecting like, I'm going to go to this gym, I'm going to get all these clients, and my main focus as a job is going to be these one-to-one sessions, and I'm going to teach people, I'm going to coach people. But the main thing about the job actually is getting clients. So it's much more of like handling a proper business. Like you need to be good at sales, you need to be able to like tell them the prices and convince them as to why they should get coaching with you. And that's the main job. And that's way more difficult, much more difficult.
Most of our training was sales.
Yeah.
Like 90% of my training was sales. So the manager, he made sure that I knew what I was talking about in terms of coaching. And at that point, I think he was kind of like, okay, you're good. And same thing with you. You know, he didn't have to teach us anything like that. And that's probably why he hired us. But most of the training was sales and was going through situations of what people would say and how to do that better. And yeah, that's if you can't sell as a personal trainer, you're not making a living.
Yeah.
Is this when you guys started getting really heavy on the social media platforms, trying to get the word out, or?
We both had social media at this point in time, but neither of us ever posted about doing in-person work or pushing to people in person, because my following at least was not heavily based in Austin.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the main thing is I knew when I was still in college, even in high school, that I wanted to have my own thing. Like, I think everybody has this idea at some point, but I was like, I want this. Like, I want this for sure. And I was relatively active in following people on social media, like fitness people and influencers and stuff like that. And so I remember telling him, I said like, hey, you could do really well on this. Like you're really fit and you're really pretty. So like you should post on social media. And I think that's when you started slowly.
Yeah.
But you probably had like what 10K followers or something.
Yeah, maybe 10,000 followers at that point in time, and maybe every once in a while I would have someone reach out asking, if I did in-person personal training, but it never led to any actual one-on-one clients.
So when did you guys decide to shift from Golds to going more self-sufficient personal training?
Well, I think all of our decisions in life, in my opinion, seemed like they were almost forced.
It was out of necessity. I think.
It was very much
Yeah.
like all of our decisions in terms of like career and life change and things like that have been out of necessity. And so
Yeah.
when we stopped was when your visa expired.
Yeah, so like we moved to the UK because, like I said, my work visa was only 1 year, and then I had to figure out what I was gonna do, and then I was like, okay, I need to go to grad school because I wanted to go to grad school, and so I applied in the UK, and then I got in, and then it was kind of like we had to stop working at Golds.
Yeah, exactly.
How does that whole process work to going to grad school in the UK? Is it different is it special for like a German citizen, or is it easier than like say a American wanted to just loves Europe and wants to go to college there?
I don't know how it is now because the UK left the European Union,
It's
but in
easier.
terms of visa, I didn't need one. Like I literally just applied and then I got in and then I could go. And Americans obviously need a visa, but I think like the pricing and the acceptance would be the same.
Did you really care what you were studying, or you just wanted to?
No,
get out
I
there?
definitely did. I wanted to do something with business
Okay.
because I think I realized in my degree at UT, like I spent the entire time at the gym. I didn't really learn much. It wasn't like useful, and so I really wanted to do something with business. So that was like my focus. Yeah.
Awesome. So you went to a program like a 2-year business program, or?
It was a one year program. It was a business management specifically for like non-financial undergraduates. So I had no idea of finances, nothing like that.
How was the math on that type of stuff? If you've never.
Yeah, it was
Tech
probably
class.
one of the hardest years of my life.
Yeah, I bet.
Thankfully, he's an accountant, so then he helped me with everything.
And at that point in time, I had just graduated. So I was
Yeah.
fresh with
Fresh.
my accounting knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I was excited. And like in terms of problem solving with accounting and finance, I really enjoy it. It's just the actual work and the
Actual
studying that I didn't want to do, right? And so
Yeah.
when she was taking an accounting class, I was excited. We were sitting down to go over problems and discuss things. Yeah.
Oh no, I can confirm that I would not have passed if I didn't have passed him. Like literally, I was lots of my exams I just about passed. So
Because there's like calculus and stuff in that, right?
No, not in.
not
No.
calculus, statistics.
Stats, yeah.
Yeah, stats was rough.
Statistics, and I had a professor that I hated and that I couldn't understand anything that he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
English accent? You should really like
Yeah, English accent, and he was just bad. Like he didn't like explaining. He wasn't a good professor. So
How did you choose what part of the UK you guys wanted to go to?
That was on me. That was on me.
sort of, yeah.
She had been before, and you had applied to schools in London and a school in Bristol, where we eventually ended up moving, and a school in Cardiff,
Yeah, in Wales.
in Wales, exactly. And she had gotten into all of them except for one school in London. And I, needing a job in the UK, thought that London was going to give me the most opportunities. And so I pushed pretty hard for London. Yeah.
I was probably leaning more towards Bristol because I had been to Bristol before and I loved the city. But to be completely honest, the university in London was also much higher ranked. So it was kind of like, yeah, sure.
I've only heard good things about London, like the amount of cultures and just the amount of food you can get there. What do you guys think?
I'm going to let you take this one.
At least our experience in London, I despised the
Really?
city. A couple of things happened. We, number
Yeah.
one, lived in an area that was just outside of the like financial district, which is where she was going to school. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like a fantastic area, and London's expensive. So when you're looking for places to live, and when you're looking specifically online only,
Yeah.
we were looking at places from Texas to live in London. We couldn't see them. We couldn't see the area. So number one, we got in a pretty bad area, which we didn't like. And then shortly after us moving there, COVID hit. And so we were isolated to that for the whole time, for her entire school, for everything. So we didn't do like typically London stuff.
Yeah.
We were just
Yeah.
isolated in that one spot. It was crowded. It was busy. Not
So
fun.
at night,
Yeah.
did you not feel comfortable walking around at night?
Well, In the UK, I felt super comfortable. They have no guns. You're legally not allowed to carry a knife. You can't carry pepper spray. You can't carry any weapon of any sort.
Wow.
And so I felt very safe there. Obviously, there was like drugs and stuff like that. But in terms of like people messing with you and things like that,
Not really.
no, you're not really worried about it.
I wouldn't say that one of the reasons was that we felt unsafe. It was mostly just because my school or where I was going is so far away from downtown. The area that we lived in was like suburban, so there was nothing to do. It wasn't particularly a nice area, and if you wanted to go downtown London, which during COVID we weren't allowed to, it would take us like 50 minutes or something like that.
It's kind of good COVID hit, and then you had to be, you didn't have the missing out type thing.
Yeah, I guess we maybe would have done some more stuff.
Yeah.
How do you guys work out during COVID?
Oh man, it was a process. So we had heard that things were happening with COVID. We all had this kind of lead up where we heard there were some cases in China, and we're like, oh man, this sucks for them,
Sucks
right?
for
That's
them.
tough.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you start hearing about things here and there, and then she got an email that there was one case in the district, so at another office building where she was in school, so a completely separate building. And then it was kind of like, all right, it seems to be coming here. And I think at that point in time, maybe another 2 days after that, because things happened fast, I started ordering equipment, gym equipment.
Smart.
For our apartment. And it took 2 months for that to be delivered.
Like 5 weeks to be delivered.
Yeah, and we were lucky because we ordered it before lockdown started.
Yeah.
And after that, if you had ordered, it would have been 3, 4, 5 months before anything arrived.
But also the problem was we lived, in London. It's so expensive. So our apartment was super small, like super small. So we converted our entire apartment into like a gym. Because at first we were working out like at parks, kind of like using outside and stuff, and they literally wouldn't let us work out at the park.
They put locks on the parks.
They put
fences
They
around
put fences around the parks.
the equipment. They even took like the basketball hoops, like the metal rim off
Removed
of the backboard. Like
God.
they didn't want anybody doing anything. And
No.
I know they did similar stuff here in the US, but I felt like in Europe and in the UK, it was extreme what they were doing for us.
What about people just running out? Could they run outside, like cardio?
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
once a day.
Yeah,
That was like the rule.
How'd they know?
You were specifically allowed one exercise a day.
Get your punch
outside.
card?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a really like big joke across the UK, or there was a really big joke that Boris Johnson, who was the prime minister, said like, you can run as much as you want to, like run freely. And all Brits were like, what, are we running marathons now?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to run. Like, yeah.
So I saw on your Instagram, you guys had a few different setups. This was before. Did you have that big like Titan rack yet, or
No, we moved from London to Bristol, which is about 2 hours away. Beautiful city. Probably our favorite place that we have lived so far.
Yeah.
And then we got another lockdown.
Yeah, we had another lockdown, but that was only like a quick one, like 1 month.
Yeah.
1 month long.
And when that one started, I started messaging some companies that I thought might want to work with me with my Instagram. And one of them said yes. So they sent us this huge rack. We had about half a centimeter of clearance
to the ceiling?
to our ceiling.
Literally.
Like I got it and I was like, this isn't gonna fit. And like this thing was like, it was 700 pounds or something like this. And they had given it to me in our apartment. And this company is from Spain. So I was like, if if we can't build this thing in here, like I don't know what we're gonna do, because stuff was closed. Like couldn't do anything with it.
But also, obviously, we kept it until we moved back here, which was 2 years, and COVID by then had finished.
Yeah.
And so anytime somebody would come into our apartment, like a plumber, or they had to fix something, they would always be like, what is that in your living room? Like,
Try to get a set in before. Just do some squats.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. They were just so confused because obviously nobody in the building had anything like that, and it was a relatively small apartment.
Yeah.
Like it was a good size, but
It was also fun when our landlord inspection happened.
Yeah.
I was like, look, it's everything's safe, nothing's damaged.
Exactly.
Like we're gonna remove it. It's just
exactly.
like, okay.
Yeah.
So what are the essentials for when you were on lockdown? What pieces of equipment did you really use the most?
I think there were 3 big ones. Number one is always just a set of dumbbells. That's the most versatility.
Do you use like the power blocks where you can like adjust it, or?
No, we got those ones where you have to slide the weights on and spin
I think
the
they're,
ends.
Oh, okay.
they're popular in the UK.
They're,
or like in
they're
Europe.
cheap too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you spin them on. And then number 2, next thing I would say would be a bench, a weight bench. And then number 3, we got the rack and the barbell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's it. Oh, and some resistance bands. Those are always
Those
good.
always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Yeah. But when COVID first hit, we had for a month maybe just resistance bands.
Just resistance band and like one small set of dumbbells.
Yeah.
It was like 10 pounds.
No,
5
they were
pounds?
like
no?
3 to 5 pounds each.
3 to 5 pounds each. I literally like stuck them together into like one big dumbbell so I could go
Duct
heavier.
taped them together
Yeah.
to make one big thing that she could carry around.
Yeah.
Were you guys able to kind of maintain, or did you feel you went backwards a little bit
Oh,
there?
that's a good question. What do you think?
Hey, you know, I've thought about this and I feel like nothing really changed. Like we did eventually get the dumbbells and then we weren't going as heavy as we normally would, but we could kind of like change the intensity
Yeah.
up. So I think didn't really make a difference.
I think the biggest thing for me is I typically each year go through a gaining phase and a cutting phase, and I didn't do that for 2 years because I felt like, you know, if my training wasn't at 100%, I didn't want to start gaining weight and then, you know, most of it accumulate to fat, and I also didn't want to lose weight and lose a bunch of muscle. So that was the one difference, is I just stayed the same weight for those 2 years.
Yeah.
So were you guys pretty much forced into doing the remote virtual training at this point? Was that your plan all along, or did you want to find a gym?
No, what would you say? This was mostly forced.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when we first moved to the UK, you were planning on working at a gym
I got a job at a gym.
for 2 days, right?
Yeah.
I think so. And I think your Instagram had kind of like started really picking up. Like you were
Yeah.
gaining like 10,000 followers a week or something like that.
Yeah, it was moving quickly at that point in time.
So then I think we had a conversation where I was in school and he was like, hey, like I really want to dedicate my time to this. And then you did. And then when COVID hit, obviously, you know, people were releasing, I think they're like home programs
Yeah.
because nobody had ever worked out at home.
Yeah, I guess the way that things happened is we moved to London, and immediately I started looking for jobs at gyms. And I found that the situations there were not the same style of situations they do here in the US. So like I said, at Gold's, they do a fantastic job of helping you get clients and having that system in place. In the UK, they don't do that. You pay rent at these gyms, and it's your job to go speak to the members and get them to hire you. And they don't care whether or not you have clients. You pay them £500 a month, whether or not you have clients or not, and they could care less.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was better because you didn't have to give them all your money,
Yeah.
but it was worse because it was so much harder to get clients.
To get clients, yeah.
So I found a gym that I liked. It was brand new, that just opened. I went to the opening and I was there. I think I went a few times, and they had hired 10 plus personal trainers. All of us there on the same days, talking to every new member that came in the door, and nobody was interested.
Yeah.
It was a low cost gym. They had been bombarded with personal trainers. So I did that for a few days. I realized that it was going to be a grind to get clients, and that's when I came to you and said, let's start really 100% online training.
But really, I think it sounds so cliche, but COVID was kind of like a blessing in disguise because that was the moment where you kind of decided, I think I should release something. So in our tiny apartment in London, we filmed all of these like super homemade programs. And then that's kind of how it started, and you released them. And then from there, you started like getting personal clients and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if for the listeners, if you guys got all the links on your Instagram, but there's the app is super cool. Like you got the videos in there, and you'll communicate directly with people that are working with you. How'd you find that out? How'd you set that up?
Yeah, when I first started, it was only through emails and Excel spreadsheets that I was writing these workouts on. Number one, it was bad for the client because you're looking at a workout in writing, and that's not how you work out. That's, you know, especially if you're new, you don't know what these mean.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of trainers use different naming conventions for different exercises. So number one, it was bad for clients, but number two, it took ages to put these workouts together because you're formatting on Excel and you're typing up and stuff like this. So I started researching on some apps and some websites where you can sign up as a coach. And so I found one that I liked. They've got a good process, but you can upload your own videos. So we've spent plenty of hours filming videos, uploading those, and then you build the programs in there, and everything's kind of already set up, and communication is great, client tracking is fantastic. So you pay a decent amount of money, but for what it is, it's a fantastic setup. Yeah, I think a lot of online trainers use it, as well as in-person trainers use it to track clients.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any struggles like video editing at all, or who's the video editor in the group?
Well, for that stuff, it wasn't editing. Because we had two of us, I would do the exercise, and she would start and stop the recording when I began the exercise, when I finished it. So that saved a lot of time because there was no editing.
Nice.
Honestly, the movements, like the exercises on the app, are pretty simple. Like it's literally filmed at the gym or like at our place still. So there's nothing there's no editing for that. Really.
Yeah. And are you stuck at home now with COVID with school, or did they still let you guys go to class?
Oh no! I was stuck at home. They finished the semester basically, so everything was from home. Everything was online. I had some classes online. Yeah, no, completely.
How was that in a tiny apartment for? How long did you have to do that for?
In London?
5 months.
Yeah. 5 months on lockdown.
Yeah, a long time.
It wasn't bad in terms of, especially our relationship. That was fantastic. Like we didn't have any problems there. It was just the matter of being stuck inside and, not really
super cramped.
Yeah,
cramped up.
Just tight.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us, especially young people, we all dealt with that. And I think one of our big things is we didn't have a backyard or a garden or anything like that. And so you see people, like able to go out in their backyard and, I don't know, have a meal out there or something like that. We just felt like we were cooped up in our apartment. But I mean, I think all of us did.
No, I think we had so much time, because like I was doing school, but I didn't have to go anywhere in person. So we had so much time, which I think is one of the reasons why we had all the time to film your exercises. And then we started like a YouTube channel. Like
that's right.
I always have to be doing something. So I was just like, okay, let's do something new and let's do this. And because I was so bored.
And did you guys, so that was in London, then Bristol. You had one more move right before you got to Texas, or did you come?
That was it.
Straight from Bristol?
That was it. Yeah. Straight from Bristol.
London to Bristol. Yeah.
So once you got your degree, and you guys had to get married at some point during this time. I don't know when you guys got married.
We got married.
That was much earlier than that.
We got married before I applied for my visa to the UK, because I needed a visa to get into the UK. So in Austin, we had decided to get married.
He's like thinking about our anniversary. He's like, in Austin.
What was the date? Yeah, so we gave our parents a week and a half notice.
Probably.
For our small wedding that we put together.
Were they surprised at all, or is it?
They were, of course, they were surprised.
They were surprised.
Yeah, of course, they were surprised. She was terrified to tell her parents. Absolutely terrified, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations!"
Yeah. Because I mean, I had to leave. So I basically said, hey, I'm leaving to the UK. And he was like, I'm going to come with you. So we were making like really big life commitments. Like I had come back from Germany. I had left my job in Germany. He was moving with me again. So then we were like, it just seems right.
Did you guys do a courthouse thing, or did you have like a little ceremony?
No, we had a ceremony. We rented an
nice.
Airbnb out in West Austin.
Yeah, like it's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. Our families came. We had hired a judge for $100 to come out and wed us, and we picked up some Tex-Mex and brought that to the house for the food. It was perfect. Yeah.
It was like 7 or 8 guests and us, like
That's
our families and us.
And so could you can go back and forth, since if you still have. How does that work with citizenship wise? Is it hairy or?
It's hairy. It's very hairy.
Yeah.
You don't have to confess to anything on here.
Oh no!
I don't know
the thing
how
is,
that works.
we specifically, especially me, I follow everything by the rules. Like it terrifies me to break rules.
No, I do too. I follow all the rules.
And so no, like there's nothing to hide. So like we technically had 5 years to stay in the UK, and if we consecutively stayed there, we could then extend. But now you can't leave for too long, but we're still kind of in that window.
Or did
Yeah.
you mean when we were in the UK coming to the US?
Yeah, can you go back and forth?
Oh.
I don't know how that works. So I guess
It's-
once you decided to come back, now you're
Basically, each place, for some reason, they don't want you to get a visa or to get a green card wherever you're going. They absolutely make it seem like they don't want you. But then when they give it to you, they say you cannot leave. They're like, you cannot live anywhere else. So it's very strange. So she's got her green card in the US, but if she
Yeah.
leaves for too long, she loses that. But if she leaves the UK for too long, she loses that status. So it's messy.
So like when we were in the UK, he could come here anytime, but I couldn't. Like I could come as like a tourist, but then once I applied for my green card, you cannot enter the US until you have your green card, and that took probably 2 years, which is probably why we stayed in the UK longer, because I literally couldn't come here. Yeah.
well, that's a cool place to visit too. If anyone wants to visit you, they could fly out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
So what was the ultimate deciding factor of you graduated? So you guys could have stayed out there if you wanted to. Why did you guys end up moving back to Texas?
That was on me. I wanted to come back here. My family's here, and because of COVID, we hadn't really spent time with them. I hadn't spent time with my family, so I wanted to come back here, spend time with them. I also wanted to see, we had lived in Texas during college, but I really want to continue seeing like where do we actually enjoy living, like what type of life do we want to have, and what makes us happy in terms of where we want to live. And so like I wanted to make sure that we tried it out, that we came here, that we lived in the suburbs, that we lived in a bigger house and different types of environment, just so we know, where do we want to be actually.
No, like to be honest, it was a joint decision. Like I don't think I had thought I want to move back, but then he brought it up and we kind of decided like we've been living in the UK for a while. We haven't seen our families. We do want like a bigger place, and I wanted cats because in the UK that's really difficult. Like to be allowed to live in a place with cats.
Yeah, so what would you guys say are the big qualities you look for in a place to live? You gotta have cats.
Gotta have cats.
Gotta have cats.
Gotta have cats. Big one for her is the weather. And that's been a problem here in Texas.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Moved to
Yeah.
Texas because of the weather. Don't hear
Yeah.
that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the cold weather. It's just the best.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it as well. And what we found is walkability of the cities and like things to do that are just close. It's so nice to be able to walk out your front door and to just, use your feet and get places. In the UK, we never had a car. We walked to the gym. We got all our groceries by foot. Like it's just a very different way of living. That's a big thing. And then I would say for both of us is pace of life, like a slower pace of living and less societal pressures in terms of like big business and people with fancy cars and big houses and stuff like that. It's nice to live in a place where most people don't seem to, that's not their highest priority.
That's one of the reasons why we didn't like London, because obviously London is just the hustle and bustle like all the time. Like there's these crazy big businesses, people are always in a rush. And Bristol was the opposite. Like I don't think we ever saw anybody in suits. Like people just, it's even in the mornings, people were just like walking slow to work. It's like different style of work, and it's just really nice.
How did you guys like going to college in Austin? I found it's getting more hustle and bustle, but it also is nice that you can get anywhere in the city as long as there's not traffic within like 20 minutes.
I loved it. We both had a good experience in Austin. Yeah. And we had thought about moving back between Austin and Dallas, and there's things that are fantastic about Austin, but in my opinion, when you start thinking about Austin versus Dallas, Austin, when you get out of the city, we weren't going to live in downtown. When you get out of the city, I feel like it's quite similar to any suburb, and so then you start looking at price and where your family is, and so that's why we picked Dallas. But in terms of the school, we loved it.
And also your sister lives here.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big reasons, like we wanted to move for the family, spend more time with the family. My parents are a lot in Dallas. My dad does like some business here, so he was also here a lot, so we were kind of like, Dallas is a better option.
I like Dallas a lot. I wish more cities were walkable though. It's very hard to find a walkable city in America.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah. It's just, there's no options. Maybe if you move somewhere small, with maybe less than 100,000 people, then you can live somewhere, or if you just live in the city, but it's so car-centered.
But I also think we live north of Dallas. Like, we don't even really live in Dallas, because if you do go to Dallas, it's more similar to London, I think, like big businesses and that kind of life. So here it's different.
I don't know. Growing up, I did not you didn't feel too safe in Dallas, especially at night. Like you would not want to walk around downtown Dallas.
That's fair.
That
there's,
too.
There's some like SMU. The SMU area is cool. Where I forgot what they call it. Call it like Uptown.
That sounds right. There's like Uptown, Midtown, stuff like that. Yeah.
That's nice. But so yeah, you guys get your fix there in London. I heard that you never tried Scotch while you were there, so that kind of disappointed me.
That's true. We neither of us drink a whole lot, like here and there, and for certain stints, like we'll randomly just go like 6 months without drinking, and then we'll go for a time where we have wine every single night with dinner. Like it's out of nowhere, and so I don't know. Scotch, I never. Where's Scotch really from?
Scotland.
Scotland.
Call it Scotch.
Scotland.
I
Scotland.
actually think you had Scotch when we were in Ireland.
No.
Is that no?
Oh, they don't call it Scotch.
No.
It's like really bad if you have
Oh.
Scotch. They hate it. They have their own Irish whiskey.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
that's
it is.
whiskey. Okay.
Did I have that? I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
did. You did when we were in Dublin.
We were in
Yeah, that's good.
we were in Scotland, and I went up to the bar and I was like, all right, I want a drink, and I asked for like a traditional Scottish beer, and they laughed at me. They were like, what do you want a beer here for? Like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
they gave me
Yeah.
some cheap like random beer that wasn't even really Scottish, but
Miller.
exactly, yeah. Here, give the kid a Miller Lite, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys want, I got some Scotch tonight. If you want to break into that. So
Okay, I'll give it a try at least. Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I never drink.
give it a taste.
I'll give it a taste.
And I think so. The last part of your guys' journey through fitness so far, I mean, super successful. Like I can't believe how many followers you have. Over like 300,000 followers on Instagram, and the training platform's awesome. You guys are kicking ass there. And then I checked out this Compare Sups website, and I wasn't expecting too much because I just saw it recently come out, and it's full fledged. You guys got so many, like, I was going through the website. You can get either protein, pre-workout, performance. How do you say that? Leistung? I feel like that's a German word. I don't know.
Oh no.
Performance.
We gotta fix that. I think we gotta fix that.
Leistung?
Is that the German
That's
translation?
from the German side. So we're currently we're working on the German one.
Oh.
So we're testing out some things and seeing where we can put some stuff. So we gotta fix that.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing it
I
out.
thought it was cool. I thought it was like some like Easter egg. But all these like weight management supplements, vitamins and health, beauty care, clothing, accessories, like that's a ton of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So how did
Yeah.
you guys decide to do that?
We had been discussing we go on plenty of walks, and we were always discussing like what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to do some kind of business, some kind of venture and things like that. And we had come up with this together, and that just kind of getting all of the supplements in one single place was important to us, because everything seems so fragmented. And I remember growing up, especially in high school, I was buying supplements from some specific shop, and I realized 6 months later that I was paying like 3x the price of this actual supplement. And since then, it's like prices are off. Different places charge different stuff. There's a store in the UK that I loathe, and their prices are bad, and they're random,
Yeah.
and you just never know. So we just wanted to get them all in one place, so you can just type in whatever you want to look for, and at least just confirm whether or not you're getting a good deal on what you're buying. Yeah.
But also, like, whenever we want new supplements, we never really know where to search. Because, for example, Amazon or eBay, they have their own, products, but it's not really that extensive. Like, you can't really compare within that or other brands. So we kind of wanted to bring it all into one place, be able to compare. You can shop directly through there. You can look for really specific products that you might not find somewhere else. And hopefully we have that from, like, smaller supplement sellers.
Yeah, I think all listeners should check it out, because there's a ton of inventory on there, and I wasn't expecting to be able to actually buy stuff out there too. But you can shop and do everything in just one website.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be easy.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. That's the point.
All right, guys. So, anything you want to talk about your journey to where you got now? Anything I missed there?
Miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
No.
It's been a good time.
Yeah, I think we were able to talk about all of the things that like kind of forced us into different decisions, whether it was her visa ending or COVID hitting and us having to go online. And I guess that was basically the big thing, is that we just had to commit to different situations when they came.
Yeah, and also I definitely think throughout the years that we've been together, it's been a very slow progress. Like sometimes we feel like we're in the same place, but
Yeah.
then we think about when we started and when he was only like releasing his Instagram and stuff, and even just being able to do what we do at our own time and stuff.
It's true.
Pretty-
It did feel very slow, and especially with Instagram, you know, when you look at influencers and things like that, and you see how many followers they have, you kind of in your head have this assumption of how much money they make and how easy their job is. And so like when we first started and I had 10,000 followers, we looked at people with 50,000 followers and thought like, oh man, when I've got 50,000 followers, like, oh, life is gonna be easy.
Yeah.
You have 50,000 followers and nothing was happening. And it was like, oh, at 100,000, the money's just gonna be rolling in, and it doesn't. And it takes consistent effort, and it just like when you see the people that are doing well with their followers, before you do it yourself, you don't realize that it does take consistent effort, and that like people don't just come to you, because there's an infinite number of people out there on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube and things like this, and people have tons of choices for who to buy their coaching from and to buy their products from.
Yeah.
Do you guys listen to Gary Vaynerchuk at all? Gary Vee?
I've seen some clips and stuff like that, but nothing specifically.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
He's big time on just consistent posting, consistent content, and just really the interaction as well, not just posting stuff, but if any comments, like always interact with the with the people. And even he says like it may take years, but that's all you can do. But was it weird at first to film yourself? How was that? Because I feel definitely baseball, you were not, I would not call you extroverted at all.
No, and even on like my personal social media channels before I started this like fitness account, I posted maybe once every 3 months or something like that. Like putting myself out there was not something that comes natural to me, and now it's very much like a job. Like it's something that I do, and it's something that's kind of, you know, every day I put content out. But no, it was very unnatural. And I remember my first post, I edited, I made sure I got the perfect photo. You're so dialed in on making sure that this is like the best piece of content you've ever put out. And I put it out, it probably got like 5 likes, you know, like you realize, and then, you know, I was posting at that point in time 3 to 4 times a day.
A day. Like so
consistently.
much stuff. Yeah.
And it gets to a point where you're just trying to put anything out, just any content to get engagement and stuff like that. And that's changed now. But then even after we were in London, and I probably had 30 to 40,000 followers at that point in time. And I had not yet spoken on camera. It was all photos or it was videos of workouts, but I had never spoken on camera. I never spoken on my stories. And we had gotten a sponsor for some clothes, and I was supposed to do a review of the clothes, and I was panicked. To speak on camera was a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
And, I did it. Now I'm super comfortable with it, but it's just, it's not something that ever came natural to me.
So when you do it, do you do front camera, the back camera, or do you have Carolina help you out there? Or?
She takes most of the content.
To be honest, the funny thing is the ones that usually do really well are the ones that I take of him that he doesn't even know I took of him. Like at the gym or just here in the house or something.
Yeah,
it's like both.
I try and use back camera because the front camera's not great, but I also have like an actual camera that I'll set up and take content on and stuff like that. Because the quality difference is clear. Like it's obvious when you see someone with good quality content.
Yeah.
And you're just talking about quality too. You're talking about posting a lot. What is the balance between quality and quantity? Because like you said, you could spend all day editing one video and then get one out there. So how do you balance that?
I think consistency is very important for these platforms. If you don't post consistently, they don't like you, and they won't show your stuff to people. It's important to get quality content out, of course, and as good of content as you can get out as consistently as you can, I do think is very important. But for a lot of people, that's not feasible, you know. So trying to do stuff consistently, and then, you know, when you can, putting stuff out that's really high quality is important. And so like in terms of Instagram, I feel like I do a pretty good job of that, but we've at different point in times tried to do YouTube. And YouTube takes a lot of time, and you put a lot of effort into it and it doesn't go that well. And that's a platform where it takes a lot of consistent effort, lots of time, and it takes quality. And it's something that we've never managed to get on top of, myself especially.
Yeah.
Is it just,
Oh yeah, no, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the different sites have different algorithms where they've just got normal YouTube, which are seem longer form.
Yeah.
TikTok, which seems like it's similar to Instagram, but TikTok you could have one video and not have any followers and it just go viral.
Absolutely. And
I don't know if you have an approach to that. Do you approach it differently than Instagram?
I do approach it a little differently. TikTok, yeah, do you have something to
No,
say?
I mean, you basically, I think you were not as active on TikTok for a while, and now you've been active for like a few weeks, and now his followers are going up a lot. So
TikTok is much easier to grow on because when you're on there, you see anybody, and no matter who you follow, it will show you different people, and so that makes it really easy to grow. The difficulty with TikTok as like an influencer and someone trying to make money is the monetization. And because you see different people, you're not only seeing the people that you follow. So even if you have 1 million followers, if your content's not good in quality, the people aren't going to see that. Whereas on Instagram, most of the time your content will get seen by your followers. It's changing some. It's getting worse. It's getting more like TikTok. But it's obviously, you'll see everybody on TikTok is trying to push followers to Instagram. Yeah. And a lot of people on Instagram you'll see are trying to push followers to YouTube because YouTube monetizes way better than Instagram and Instagram monetizes way better than TikTok. So everyone's just trying to move you to different places to make the most money.
What do you guys think about these YouTube shorts that are they seem kind of new, but they seem very similar to TikTok or
You watch them.
I watch them just so I don't spend time on TikTok.
It's true, yeah.
So I can be distracted with something.
Which speaks to its not so good ability to be as engaging.
Exactly.
It's saying like if you're on YouTube Shorts, she can spend 10 minutes on there, but you find yourself on TikTok and an hour goes by because it's so gripping and it's so engaging and the content's so good. And the same thing on Instagram. I don't think people spend that much time on Instagram Reels because they're not as engaging.
Yeah, I think the main reason why Instagram has worked really well for you is because of the interaction. Because like people really feel like they know you, which I think on TikTok and stuff like that might be a little harder. Like you respond to comments, people watch your stories every day. Like that's the main reason why.
But all of the platforms are trying to go into the same direction. Instagram a couple of years ago released IGTV. Do you remember this? It's this long form videos. They got rid of that. They didn't do well. And then Instagram has stories, which came from Snapchat. TikTok recently released stories, right?
You have Reels.
You've got Reels on Instagram now. YouTube has released Shorts. I also believe you can have stories on YouTube. I would imagine so. I don't know. But it seems like they're all just going to one place. So, what's going to happen? And one of the reasons I got on TikTok was the possibility that Instagram will become nothing. And the fact that, if because that's how we make our money. If something happens to it and people stop going on there and you're too late to the party to switch platforms, then you're out of luck.
Do you ever think about just copying whatever you post on Instagram, the Reels, and just putting them on YouTube Shorts and just, I don't know, because it would take, I'm sure it's better if you try to film your content for the algorithms of each platform, but sometimes that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, for Instagram and TikTok, I try and do different content. Eventually, I'll post similar stuff. So I'll kind of take the same video and I'll put a different caption on it, or I'll do a different part of that video or something like that. But I try not to post them at the same time. It would be very easy to post the same exact thing I put on Instagram at the same time I put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get people to cross-platform. I'm trying to get people from TikTok to follow on Instagram and vice versa. And if it's same content, there's no incentive to do that. And so for YouTube Shorts, I haven't even thought about it. But I think because I don't have a very significant YouTube presence, there's nothing I'm trying to get people there for.
Yeah.
So I have no real reason to do that.
Yeah, I feel like now you said that we were gonna wrap it up, and now we've just been talking about totally different things.
Sorry, yeah, I do want to cover these fitness topics though before we close it out. If you guys,
let's do it.
Sure.
We'll hop back and forth. So Carolina, free weights versus machines. If you had a client, how would you recommend pointing him to which one?
It depends what's his experience with working out.
So a newbie. Let's say a
newbie, like Austin mentioned earlier, definitely machines, because they're stable. They allow you to progress. They allow you to actually just test your form and get familiar with your body.
So what are the benefits to eventually move into free weights?
I mean, I think in free weights you can go heavier. That's the main thing, and also you just the movement patterns that you have to use your body. Like you have to stabilize, you have to balance, you have to do everything. It's much more strenuous on your body, honestly.
All right. Austin, so what are your favorite exercises top 3 for upper body and then top 3 for lower body if someone's just starting working out?
Upper body, I would say just like a straight dumbbell bench, maybe a dumbbell incline bench. I would say a cable row, maybe a high cable row, and a lateral raise with dumbbells. Those would be I do those all the time. And then lower body work, I would say a squat. So squat variation can be anything. So it can be a barbell squat, but a lot of people maybe aren't comfortable with that. Any squat variation, so a leg press with both legs, or a hack squat, or a pendulum squat, a Smith machine squat, anything like that. My favorite leg movement is an RDL, Romanian deadlift, straight leg deadlift, all the same thing, either with the barbell or dumbbells. And then the third one,
A lunge, maybe?
yeah, maybe a walking lunge. Walking lunges are fantastic. They're horrible to do because they're exhausting, but walking lunges are so good for you.
They hit everything.
Yeah.
So when you do lunge, do you prefer like dumbbells if you're gonna add weight, or do you ever do the rack lunge?
Barbell always, because you'll notice your grip starts to go
Yeah.
when you're holding dumbbells, and you can't properly load your legs if you're holding dumbbells in your hands, because that's the first thing your forearms are gonna start burning.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, next question. This is more nutrition, but so what's your nutrition philosophy? Do you believe in cheat days, or what's your thoughts on those?
I think this is really important for everybody to assess what works for them. I don't believe in cheat days because I would be cheating every day. Like I think I need to eat something that I enjoy, not only every day, but pretty much for every meal, because that's what works for me. Like I'm really active. I work out a lot, but I also know if I restrict myself and only have one cheat day, I'm gonna binge on that day and I'm not gonna feel good for the rest of the week. So I think balance. I follow the 80-20.
And for different people, it's very important what your relationship with food is. Mm-hmm. If you have a bad relationship with food and you have periods of binging and restricting, then you should not follow strict diets and then cheat days like that. For some of our clients, they have really, really good relationships with food, and they can take much more aggressive diets and much more strict diets and things like that. But it really depends on, I think the biggest thing is, how do you view food? How do you eat? What does it mean to you?
And also, what are your goals? Like for us, it's again, it sounds so cliche, but it's just a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Like we work out because we feel good, because we enjoy it. But obviously, if you want to compete or if you want to take it more serious, then maybe you have to be a bit more strict and just have that one day. But if you're not, then I think the 80-20 works really well.
Yeah, that's good. I'm definitely one of those people that if I go get a bowl of ice cream, very likely I'll go back, get a second serving and stuff like that. It's hard to stop once I get rolling. All right, so Austin, how do you go about dealing with injuries while still trying to maintain a consistent training regimen?
Yeah, I think it depends for everything. And if it's just a little strain or something like that, then it's important to, give it its space, but also try and continue working through it. So taking your body through ranges of motion that include those pain points and things like that, I think are important. Oftentimes, my difficulty with injuries is people go to the doctor. I think we've all dealt with this, and they tell you to just take time off. They don't give you any information on what to do. Maybe if you go to a sports medicine doctor, they'll give you some rehab, which is perfect, or they'll send you to a physical therapist. But if you are dealing with an injury that's not like, something's broken or something's torn, then I think it's important to understand whether it's going to a physical therapist or trying to look up some mobility drills or something like that, to just continue taking your body through those ranges of motion. Because if you stop using it entirely, it's going to be really difficult to get back into it. So drop back on the load, take it easy, move through light movements, and then continue pushing over the weeks as it starts feeling better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's definitely easier when you have that momentum than trying to restart. So Carolina, what are some client or customer horror stories you've had either with your supplement company so far or training someone?
The supplement company, there's none, because we don't, number one, we're only building it up, but also we don't really interact with people. It's all just online. Mm-hmm. So it's been pretty great. With clients, I'm gonna have to think back of my goals times.
What was
That's
when
hard.
that woman's boyfriend came into the gym?
That woman's boyfriend came into the gym?
Yeah, some guy came running to the gym and he was looking for her. Who were you training?
What?
Yeah, come on.
I have no idea what you're
You
talking
don't remember?
about. No,
Is
what
he, like,
happened?
mad?
What
He's,
happened?
like,
Yeah,
angry
he was like looking for his girlfriend or something. Yeah, you're training some woman. Was it the woman that said her arms were tired? Come on.
No. That was Kimmy. She was great.
Okay.
I
Don't remember
have
then.
no idea. I think the only one I can think about, which happened a couple of times, is people that, we would have to talk, they'd be super enthusiastic, they would sign up, okay, I have one. This is a horror story. So, it was this one guy, and he was going through a rough time. He had, just broken up with his girlfriend, he really wanted to lose weight, he was, relatively overweight. So he signed up for 4 times a week with me.
Wow.
Super consistent. Not only is it super expensive, it's super consistent. So I was super excited. I was like, great, we're gonna get him healthy. He came probably for 2 weeks. He was late a lot. And then out of nowhere, he completely stopped coming. He didn't show up at all. He wouldn't respond to my texts. And he was still getting charged. Because if you don't cancel, you're continuously gonna get charged by goals. At least that's how it used to be. So I was super frustrated because I felt awful for this person. I wanted to help him.
Did he die?
No.
No.
He just fell off, or he got busy, or something happened, and he didn't respond to my texts. And I honestly, to this day, I don't know what happened. He ended up responding saying he would come in, but he never came in.
The only thing we were trying to get him to do was come into the gym and cancel.
Exactly.
Please, because how much was it a month? $1,600 a month or something?
Something like that. So
that
expensive.
He was getting charged and he just wasn't coming. It was like, if you do anything, come fill out the form.
Exactly.
That's it. And work on your fitness later. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad. Poor
that
guy.
was a horror story.
It was bad
made me
because
sad.
he was so nice. He was an incredible person. I trained him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And he was really nice.
He was getting really good. He was getting consistent. He was being good, and yeah.
Probably just never checks his bank statement, because that would hurt if I saw that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so Austin, how do you tailor your workouts to different clients? I don't know what would be the first question you ask for, depending on their goal? If they wanted to lose weight versus build muscle, how would you set that up differently?
I would say the biggest first thing is experience. Is how much do you know about the gym? Because especially training people online, it's very different from training people in person. In person, I'm fine to take someone through a free weight movement, a barbell movement. But if you've never worked out before, I'm not going to give you barbell movements because you don't know how your body works, right? It's like she said, you should do machine work and try to understand that better. In terms of lose weight or gain weight, I have no difference in the way that I train those people. The goal is to build muscle and get stronger. That doesn't matter about your training, right? Your training should stay the same. Your diet takes part in that. So in terms of training, that doesn't make a difference. If you have specific areas of your body that you want to build, whether you want to build your legs, your arms, your chest, your glutes, whatever it is. Another big thing is injuries. Most people have some kind of nagging injury. So, how do we, number one, make sure that we don't make that worse? But number two, also, we can do things to make that better, like I said. So different movement patterns to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely have found the diet, anytime I started getting heavy, the diet is way more impactful than trying to work out harder.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can get on the treadmill, but you're just running on the rat wheel at that point, and it can take, you don't burn as many calories doing cardio as you think you do.
Yeah.
All right, Carolina, what are your thoughts on ring workouts or calisthenics? Is it something you explored, or is something you like to do?
Definitely not for myself. I think I need to enjoy my workouts, and that's just something that I've never tried it, but I don't think I would enjoy it.
What about for like mobility, or what would you recommend if someone wanted to get more flexible, not just stronger?
Oh, well, that's something that I work on, and I kind of do that apart from my workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my workouts, for me at least, are for building muscle or, you know, getting better at the movements that I'm doing. But I'd like to do yoga, or I like to do swimming, and that is actually what helps with my mobility.
How
like, apart
often
from my workouts.
would you like work that in? Once a week, or?
I try to do it once a week, but I mean, you can do it more often. You can do it 2 to 3 times a week, probably, work on your mobility. Yeah.
And that stuff, it won't really affect your weight training, will it? Or does it interfere at all?
It depends on the intensity, of
Yeah.
course, and it depends on how you deal with it. So like when she goes to yoga, she's quite good, and her cardio levels is really great, and so it's not a strenuous activity. But you know, if you're someone who's not in great shape, or you're overweight, and you're going to do swimming or yoga, it's going to be much more strenuous, and you should then start to account those activities for workouts and make sure that you are recovering properly.
And it also depends what your goal is. Like if your goal is to build muscle, then you should focus on building muscle and just doing the mobility work as like an extra, like a light extra where you're kind of in recovery. But if your goal is to improve your mobility, then that should be your goal, and the gym should be an extra. So like it depends.
Awesome. All right. So last one, got Austin for, have you ever tried any of the heat or cold therapy, and what are your thoughts?
I have, for like heat therapy, all I've done is like sauna stuff, which I absolutely love. Cold therapy, I was just telling her, I've taken one ice bath in my life, and it was at Cisco after probably a baseball game or some practice or something, and it was absolutely horrible. My understanding with cold therapy and ice baths, it's a great way for immediate recovery. So like if you have something following immediately the next day or even the same day, it's really good for like quick immediate recovery. But I haven't experienced any, I haven't done much myself, or I don't really recommend anything like that, especially for the people that we train and we're focused on. We're not training elite athletes, like these are people that just want to get healthier and want to feel better. And so when it comes with that, I don't think there's any reason to take an ice bath.
The best recovery is just resting, I think.
Yeah.
What about cold showers?
Yeah, I did a YouTube video on this because our hot water heater went out in the UK, and I was like, I'm gonna do a whole week of cold showers. Did nothing for me. Did absolutely nothing. I think for myself, I have great recovery. I take my time. We both really focus on it now. It's something we've changed since we were at UT, and you saw me at the gym for 4 hours a day. Is our recovery has improved a lot. We've stepped back from spending so much time there. We take days off from the gym. So those things of like just taking time, taking rest, not training 7 days a week, even though you feel like you can, in training less time, and just listening to your body will do loads more than cryotherapy will or sauna time will.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. I want to thank you guys so much for having me out here in Dallas.
Yeah, happy to have you, Mike.
I want to give you guys some plugs. I did not write down your Instagram handles, but I'll get them in the show notes. I don't know if you know them off the top of your head or not.
Yeah. I mean, start with yours, please.
Austin Martin at austin.imfit.
And mine's just carolina.martin with 2 N's at the end.
Yeah, and make sure to check out Compare Sups online as well. And you guys still doing the personal training both, right? So you can find all that information there. And that concludes the Mike White podcast. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening to the Mike White podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mike White Pod, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Y'all have a great day.